Good morning, good Monday, and
Hey, don't push me.
Yo, I'm back! And I come bearing FUD. Oh yes, it's not him. Where is he? He's gone. Thank God. The NFT market has taken a pummeling, with trading volume on OpenSea grinding down to a 13-month low. And yes, that is painful. Floor prices of so-called blue chips have been battered like Anthony Joshua on a night out in Jeddah. Sorry, Josh, he's just better than you, love. And in the value of the Twapes, if it is to be believed, there is a formidable sword of Damocles hanging over the NFT space, its blade polished, sharpened, and ready to shred our puny guts with a series of cascading liquidations and a subsequent death spiral event, which could see floor prices everywhere go to zero or worse. I'm not really sure how they could go worse, but as Cirrus described it, this could be the single biggest risk to the NFT market that nobody is talking about. Except that, well, actually everybody's talking about it, and that means us as well, so we are going to have to. But before we make you soil or undercladding, a quick and, dare I say, timely word from our sponsors. Platforms that ensure the safety of their clients' funds will help build trust in the crypto space. That's why Nexo is setting an example by putting security first and making sure that over 4 million customers have instant access to their funds all the time. On Nexo, you can buy crypto and automatically start earning daily interest. Use the exchange to restructure your portfolio in seconds while getting rewards on every swap. You can also get instant liquidity without selling. Simply borrow against your crypto at rates as low as 0%. Visit nexo.io and find out for yourself if that's the right place for your crypto. Now, in case you're not up to speed or you didn't see our previous video, BenDAO is a collateralized P2P lending protocol enabling users to take loans against their quote-unquote blue chip NFTs. And quite how you determine what constitutes a blue chip in such a nascent asset class is a can of worms in of itself. And blue chip is just, well, it's dumb, isn't it? But in this instance, we're talking apes, punks, mutants, doodles, space doodles, Azukis, and clones. So it's actually pretty simple. You have a punk, you deposit that punk into BenDAO's Smarty Pants contracty code robots, and just like that, you can borrow up to 40% of the floor price in precious ether. Now just check out the APY OMG of this. Okay, well, it's worth backing up a second here because it wasn't always this DeFi 2021. For some time, the rates have actually been very reasonable, with borrowers able to offset the cost of their loans with the BEND token rewards. But with the broader market pummeled, a raging ETH, and a radical vomitification of floor prices, the gears have been slowly grinding on what clout-hungry Twitter sleuths would have you believe is the next coming of Do Kwon. Borrowing against NFTs was always going to come with associated risks, but for anyone sitting on some primo JPEGs, the ability to take out a 40% loan against them is a pretty juicy and tantalizing prospect. Now remember, apes did go up as far as 160 ETH at one point, so that 40%, even if you took only 20%, is still booyah. Now, as per Franklin's Ultra Degen play from a few months back, here's what you could have done. Borrow a fat stack of ETH against, well, he has 60 or so apes in order to sweep the other D floor and nab those ever so precious coders. And that is exactly what he did, but it didn't really work out for him, but we covered that in that previous video. Now, all clouds, however, come with a silver lining. If you thought you were having a bad day, just take a quick scroll down the health alert list over on BenDAO, where you'll see 5, 10, 15, 20, oh my God, it never ends. That's the number of loans in the danger zone and within a whisker of the dreaded liquidation point, a super stressful 48-hour window in which owners are forced to either cough up and settle up or lose their precious punks or Azukis or apes forever. Now, currently in the liquidation zone are as many as 28 blue chips available for auction, but the question on everyone's mind is, what happens if and when the collections drop below the outstanding debt against the NFTs in that 48-hour window? At which point, owners have literally no incentive to settle up, but instead are forced to embrace the nihilistic thrill of inexorable liquidation, comfortable in the knowledge that, well, they got their ETH. If, that is, if anyone actually wants to scoop them up. A liquidation only really works if someone's prepared to be the liquidator. And here's where things get interesting, because right now, as NFTstatistics.eth explains, the majority of NFTs that have defaulted have that many bids. Yes, if you can't see properly, that is a finger and a thumb, creating the number zilch. So, what happens when there is no liquidator involved in the auction? Well, we have to head over to BenDAO.xyz for the answer. And a look at their paperwork explains this kind of situation shouldn't result in any permanent losses, but only temporary floating losses, which sounds reassuring. Now, I'm pretty sure I saw a floater in the toilet the other day, and in no way, shape, or form was that something that I personally wanted to see in my life. Now, either the borrower will repay the debt at some point in the future, or after the market recovers, some liquidators emerge to take part in auctioning off the debts. The delisting may happen when the collection is not considered blue chip NFTs anymore. Who decides what is a blue chip NFT and what isn't? Now, in simple terms, lenders could end up holding a hefty bag of dodgy debt, a floater. I reached out to the team at Bend about this, and here's what they said. We're doing an internal analysis of the floating loss, and it turns out that zero, that's how they wrote it, since the floor price recovers. We'll update the community soon, so presumably they'll give us an update soon, whatever that means. So what is the worst case scenario here? And is this really the greatest threat to BAYC since, do we really have to give Ryder more oxygen? Nah. You know what I'm talking about. The numbers as it stand appear to be, as Cirrus describes it, an absolute shit show. And that's because while you were asleep, the BenDAO bank run finally happened. 15 ETH are left in the wallet that had 18,000 ETH, or 29 million or so, in it just 48 hours ago. Still, 14,500 ETH owed to lenders. Ha! If only there was 15 ETH left in the wallet. At the time of recording, that number has fallen to 3.65 ETH since every time a loan is repaid, there is in fact an instant withdrawal, which we can see on the blockchain here. But of course, this is all happening in real time, and as we wrote this script, someone chucked 500 ETH into the reserve, so it's healthy again. Except it's not really. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place. And will it ever get back to 18,000 ETH in the reserve? I do not know. Now, what about those cascading liquidations? How likely are they to occur and bring the floor prices crashing down across the board? Well, for all the challenges it's facing right now, BenDAO's design should prevent against a bona fide doomsday scenario, as outlined in TradFi Whale's thread here. To cut a long story short, we can see that only long-term hodl liquidators are likely to bid. If no one bids and the floor price keeps going lower, this simply becomes bad debt for BenDAO, who will end up hodling the NFT. There are no cascading liquidations. Great news, but there's also bad news too. Uh-oh, I hear you say. And here's what that means, namely that the underwater NFT collaterals will mean there is a wall of sellers if the floor price rises again, putting a lid on price appreciation. But really, how many of these assets are in BenDAO to begin with? But there is an even bigger problem for BenDAO. Bad debt will accumulate as floor prices move down quickly, and ETH lenders will pull their collateral. Utilization will rise to 100%, interest rates will rise to 100% at full utilization. Good collateral borrowers will repay ETH to get their NFTs back to avoid the crazy rate, and that will allow the fastest ETH lender to withdraw. This will be a vicious cycle until there is only bad debt, and those who are too slow to withdraw their ETH, at this point the protocol is dead. The NFTs will have to be liquidated to give remaining lenders some percentage of their ETH back. So that's kind of what happened over the weekend. Both percentages were way over 100%. It has now calmed down a little bit as the basic premise of rational economic actors doing what's in their best interest has kicked in. But I mean, this stuff is happening in real time and, well, something needs to happen. And it would appear that is exactly what is happening through the magic of governance in the form of BIP 9, Bend Improvement Proposal number 9. So in this proposal, BenDAO apologized for underestimating how illiquid NFTs could be in a bear market when settling the initial parameters, and after a comprehensive review and discussion is now proposing to incrementally adjust the liquidation threshold to 70% from 95% over the next 4 weeks, to reduce the auction period to 4 hours, to remove the first bid limitation of 95% of the floor price, adjust the interest base rate to 20%, and make a proposal for if the bad debts happened, how to deal with it. So a ton of stuff to sort out. There was so much panic on the streets when this issue was first highlighted. But actually what has happened is it's just sort of unwinding very slowly because it's just much harder to cascade things and to cause massive shifts in the NFT market, particularly when it comes to assets where there are still a lot of very dyed-in-the-wool holders. That was me back to do the quick take this Monday. It was BenDAO. I hope you weren't bent out of shape. Have a good one. Stay safe out there. Touch some grass. Peace!